Hello and welcome back to another shorter episode of the My Generation podcast. And today I just wanted to do some football predictions for the upcoming season. So I just wanted to go through some of the top leagues around Europe and the Championship as well, and just go over some of my thoughts. I'm recording this a little bit later than some people's predictions, but I wanted to wait for transfer deadline day to happen. So I had a full up-to-date list of, or at least for the Premier League, of who will be where, so that if there were any big last day signings, like for Arsenal, and my opinion has slightly changed on Arsenal because of transfer deadline day, then I was able to cover for it. So in the Premier League, I'm going to cover the top six, or my top six, and the bottom three. And my top six is in sixth place. I've gone with Chelsea. I'm actually very excited for what's coming from Chelsea, but I do think that sixth for this season, and then actually higher next season. Next, in fifth, I've got a bit of a wild card. I've gone for Wolverhampton Wanderers, and the only reason I have is, despite the fact they're also in the Europa League, I think they have such a strong squad and a little bit more depth than last season due to the new signings. They're all scoring. I think they're just going to be hard to beat, and some of the other teams that have fallen in there, sort of in and around their league and area, might fall to the side. I don't think Manchester United are going to finish top sixth. I think they'd be seventh, if anywhere, just because of the off-the-pitch turmoil, not having a technical director or sporting director, disagreements, players left unhappy they can't leave, players unhappy that they weren't able to replace Ander Herrera, things like that. I think they're going to finish seventh, despite having quite a strong squad. In fourth place, I've gone with Arsenal then. I originally was a bit dubious as to whether to put them lower, but I couldn't see Wolves finishing higher than fifth, and even that would be an amazing season for them. But Arsenal have made some great signings. It's going to solidify Arsenal as fourth. Next, we've got Tottenham. I think they are a guaranteed third place team. I would put Tottenham in third just because of how consistent they are looking to be now. They've got a Dembele replacement finally in Ndombele, and I'm really excited to see the kind of football they are going to play this season. I don't think they're going to break into the top two. I don't think they've got quite enough depth for that. Now, I've put Liverpool second because I just think that they don't quite, again, have the depth for the whole season. They've made some good new signings, just not enough for me to get into first place, which I think is going to be Manchester City. And I think a lot of people are agreeing. The same as last season, and a couple of great additions. Rodri and João Cancelo are the standout ones for me. Going to make a big impact. They're looking long term, and I think Phil Foden's going to come out of his shell more this season. I'm very excited to see him and what he has to do, and his role in the team, especially as he moves into sort of the David Silva position. Now, moving into my bottom three. In last place, I've actually put Newcastle United, because of the struggles and the transition. I don't think Steve Bruce is a bad manager by any stretch, and I think Joelinton's going to score goals. This was actually something I did before deadline day happened, and maybe St. Maxime and Joelinton are going to link up better than I'm expecting, but I think I had them down to go down for a reason. They just don't have the strong enough defence, I don't think, and I think that the tactics probably are going to be a bit weaker. They had a style under Rafa. It's kind of fallen apart, and the momentum slowed right up. I would still be happy if they stayed up, but I don't know if they will. Now in 19th, I've put Crystal Palace of all people. The reason I have is because Zaha's now angry that he didn't get his move, but if he's going to be upset, there's going to be some off-pitch tension with teammates. Haven't really brought in anyone good to sort of solidify the team, and they sold their best right back. The squad is aging, and they brought in an aging Gary Cahill. Really great at Chelsea. He's past his best, and I don't think he's going to reinforce and keep them in the Premier League. And I think it's going to be sad to see them go down, actually. And next, and this is the team I don't want to go down, and I hope surprise me, is Sheffield United. Such a passionate, strong group of people, very together, very unique style of attacking football. Don't know if it's going to work in the Premier League, and I don't know if they've got the depth and quality. I think that they have good players, but I don't know if they have more than 10 or 11 players that can cut it in the Premier League. And if they get an injury or two, I think they're going to be done. But again, I'm really hoping Sheffield United stay up because their brand of football is so lovely to watch. My dark horse team is Everton. I think Moise Kean is going to be a lot better than people are expecting maybe this season for his age. Really great at Juventus, and I'm hoping he brings the team up to another level. I think they're just going to click this season, Everton. I think they're going to finish either 8th or 7th, pushing Man United even lower. And they're going to really, really perform and step up. Now into the Championship, I really do think that Leeds are going to come top, first place. They are just going to be so energised by last season. Even though they finished a bit weak, I think that they're going to be rallying up to have an insane performance. They've already started well with a win. Bamford, I think, is going to be scoring and on fire. It's a shame they lost Roof at the end of the transfer window. That might dent their automatic chances, but I'm still going to go with first, especially if they keep hold of Calvin Phillips, which is now looking extremely likely. Second, I've put Derby County. Again, I think they're just going to push on. Both of these two teams, I think, are going to use the despair and defeat that they had last season as a fuel for their fire and go straight up. And West Bromwich Albion, I think, are going to get promoted via the playoffs. Brought in some really, really nice players, especially getting Charlie Austin for $4 million. I think he's really going to score this season. I think he's going to do an amazing job. A replacement for Jay Rodriguez and more recent Premier League experience. I think Swansea are going to get into the playoffs. I just think that with the squad they had last season, yes, they've lost two of their biggest names in Daniel James and Ollie McBurney, but I think they can invest in January. Especially if it isn't going too well, they'll definitely invest in January because they've got the reserves now and are just a very exciting team to watch. Again, very fast, very attacking, and I think it's going to click. Huddersfield I've put in 5th. They're going to be an interesting one. I think Huddersfield are going to try and get back up into the Premier League first time, but losing Philip Billing was pretty massive for them. I just think it's going to take time for Huddersfield to adapt again. And I've put Fulham in 6th. I think their squad's a bit of a mishmash at the minute. They have no identity. They've just got a lot of class players and they need to gel and put the tactics together. Fulham could either finish 6th or 20th for me. They're definitely not going down, but they're wild. I would not be surprised if they finish 20th, but I'm going to put them 6th only because I think Scott Parker's going to pull them together. A couple of loan signings that have done well, and they didn't lose all of their quality players when they got relegated, which I think is going to really help them bounce back. Now, my bottom 3 slightly changed due to transfer deadline day, and it's mainly in the team I put last, which was Reading. I think they are still going to go down, but they brought in George Puskas, who absolutely tore England up in the Romania versus England under-21s match, which if you saw, they beat the English team 4-2. He was on fire. They brought in a handful of loan and permanent signings on deadline day, and I don't know, maybe that's enough to keep them up now. I'm going to keep them as getting relegated just because they came so close last season, and the quality in the Championship, I think, is up this season. You haven't got dead teams like Ipswich and Bolton, who were always going to go down, fighting around you. I think everyone's got a chance to stay up this season. And I'm an Ipswich fan, and I can admit that we didn't have a great season. So I think just because there's so much quality now this season, and there's no definite team going down, I think Reading will struggle. Not because they aren't good, but because the other teams around them are all progressing. Next is Barnsley. Again, they're sort of a yo-yo team. They always go up and always come down. They're going to be fighting relegation all season. And I just think, again, with the quality, they're going down. And also Millwall. I don't think they made enough good signings. They are pretty random in where they finish. I think not last season, but the season before, they finished just outside the playoffs. And then last season, nearly going down. I think the nail could be in the coffin for this team, who haven't really brought in anyone of note. And I think the dark horse for this season is going to be Luton Town, who I predict would finish 7th. I think they're going to be just outside automatic promotion, but I think they're going to do amazing this season. Their 3-3 draw with Middlesbrough to open the campaign was a true joy to watch. And if they play more football like that, I think everyone's going to like them in this division. Although I think Stoke City are going to flop. I think they're going to finish about, again, they could do like what I think Fulham might do. My prediction is sort of 19th for Stoke because they're a bit uncertain at the moment. They made some signings, got rid of some players, sold some players to Championship rivals. Now, League One, I'm just going to do the top 3 for the other divisions in Europe. So I think in League 1, it will finish 3rd place, LOSC Lille, because they've got so much cash from the Nicolas Pepe deal. They'll spend some of it, and they did lose 2 of their best players. They also lost Mendes, but still a strong identity and squad. I don't think they'll finish 2nd like they did, but I think they are going to be strong and can invest that money well. And I think Lille are a team that will invest. And I don't think their summer's over yet, which is why I haven't put them in 2nd. If they make some big signings, then maybe. Lyon are my 2nd place team for this. Pushing on with Depay leading the lines, I think he's going to do really well this season. Shame about losing Fekir. He was a strong talent, but still a lot of exciting stuff in that camp. And first, obviously, I think it's going to be PSG, Paris Saint-Germain. They've just got so much depth, so many good players, and I don't think there's any chance they're going to be in trouble. In La Liga, I think it's going to be first place, I'll start with 3rd. I think it's going to be Real Madrid. They are, again, in a very transitional stage. They've got lots of big players, big names, but I don't know if it's going to link up this season. Hazard's going to be massively influential. I'm really excited about the team. It's just not there yet. And I think, like Chelsea, need a couple of seasons maybe to get back into the swing of things. But I guess in 3 years, they'll be unstoppable. 2nd place, I've gone for Barcelona. I think they're just a class team, but I think the Champions League semi-final defeat's going to really hit them. Griezmann doesn't look like he's firing on all cylinders yet, but I'm hoping that they come round and it all works. I just think, I don't know, it seems a bit off at the moment at Barcelona. They're going to be good, as always, but only 2nd this season. And I think Atletico Madrid are going to come 1st in La Liga. The hunger and desire they showed in pre-season, they just looked amazing. João Felix, he is way too expensive, but if he makes his worth, then he'll be insane. He was great in pre-season. I just hope he's able to carry it through with all the other big signings as well. Losing Griezmann is massive, but also losing Godin as well. I think they're still going to push on. Now into Serie A. I'm only just going to do the top 2 for this, but I think in 2nd place, you're going to have Inter Milan. Lukaku, I think, is going to do really well in the Serie A. I think he's actually the style of it suits him quite well. It's quite a physical, defensive game, and he's going to be very, very strong. And they've made some new signings. They've got Godin, and they've been able to retain a lot of their good players. Losing Nainggolan's a bit of a disappointment for them, but they are strong. Didn't finish that well last season, but I just think that they're going to do all right this time round. I don't know. I've got a feeling, and if I'm wrong, they're going to finish somewhere like 6th. And in 1st place, I think it's obviously going to be Juventus. Again, just so much depth. They've got Ronaldo, and most of the squad is still unchanged. The defence is aging a little bit, which is why I think Inter Milan might finish 2nd. I think it's going to be closer this season than it was last. And also losing Moise Kean was a big mistake for me. I think Juventus could have held on to him, and he's going to be one for the future. But they've also got Aaron Ramsey now, got him on a free. Juventus seem to be the king of free transfers, and it's going to go really well for him. And lastly, in the Bundesliga, 2-horse races ever. I think Bayern will finish 2nd, Bayern Munich. The reason for that is something, again, like with Real Madrid, something seems really off with the Giants at the moment. Bayern, Neuer hasn't been performing quite as well. The defence hasn't either. Hummels is gone. Not as much depth as before. And whilst I think they will lead for maybe the first few weeks of the season, or months, they're going to fall to the wayside and have Dortmund win. Jadon Sancho has been on fire in pre-season. Their young defence is now coming into their prime a little bit more, and they're just forming such an identity. They've got Hummels back and Götze, who was already back for a little while, but Götze, Hummels, Royce are going to form a strong experiential side. They're the 3 experienced players, and the rest of the squad is so youthful and exciting and fast. I'm very excited to see Dortmund. So that sums up my thoughts for just some predictions. Very quick video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Leave your predictions in the comments. Maybe some of mine are crazy. I've thrown out a few wild cards because if I get them right, then it'll be insane. I think the Inter Milan pick, I think Wolves, and maybe having Lille still up and Luton Town being dark horses are probably my obscure predictions. But tell me what you think of those ones, especially in the comments, because I know that everyone's got different predictions for this season, and mine are pretty out of out of the norm. But let me know what you think, and I'll catch you in the next podcast episode.